The roots of the Missouri Air National Guard and our wing trace far back in aviation history. Many may not realize that we started our aviation life not as Missourians, but as Texans. We were first known as the 110th Aero Squadron, organized at Kelly Field, Texas on August 14, 1917, with an assignment of aircraft maintenance and repair. This was only 14 years after the first successful powered piloted flight in history by the Wright brothers in 1903. We've definitely come a long way since then.
We may have started our aviation life as Texans, but the call to Missouri was strong, and on June 23, 1923, the redesignated 110th Observation Squadron was moved to St. Louis and organized by Major Bill Robertson and his brothers, Lieutenants Frank and Dan Robertson, owners of the Robertson Aircraft Company.
The 110th was allotted to the National Guard 35th Division and originally equipped with one World War I surplus Curtiss JN-4 Jenny purchased through officer donations. Our fleet soon became 4 Jenny aircraft. As we took on observations and reconnaissance duties, the Jenny were replaced from 1925 to 1933 with the D-4, TW-3, O-2C, PT-1 Trustee, O-11, O-2H, O-17, and O-38B.
The Robertson brothers' chief pilot on the St. Louis to Chicago airmail run was a lanky young aviator named Charles A. Slim Lindbergh. Lindbergh became a member of the 110th Observation Squadron in 1924 and was a captain when he made his historic transatlantic solo flight to Paris in the Spirit of St. Louis in 1927.
Bidding farewell to his mother, Charles Lindbergh climbed aboard the Spirit of St. Louis, the plane he helped design.
Men, equipment, and the unit's headquarters were consolidated from a small meeting room above a grocery store on Grand Avenue to a new hangar at Lambert Field in 1931. Summer field training in the 1930s allowed members to hone their skills on the K-17 aerial reconnaissance and mapping camera. Our unit received new aircraft in the late 1930s, the O-38E and the O-47.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
When World War II started, we were federally mobilized and went through another name change to the 110th Tactical Reconnaissance Squadron. The early 40s saw the arrival of the O-52 OWL, the O-46, the artillery spotting utility aircraft Stinson O-49, the observation monoplane L-4 Piper, and the wing's first bomber, the A-20 Havoc.
We saw duty in Australia, New Guinea, the Philippines, and Japan. During 1944, we started flying fighters. We flew the P-39 Airacobra, the P-40 Warhawk, and the P-51 Mustang. Our members are credited with destroying 123 Japanese aircraft and at least 13 ships, earning the Squadron a Presidential Unit Citation in 1944. A converted P-51, now designated the F-6 Mustang, took on a tactical reconnaissance mission with us in 1946.
When the war ended, federal recognition was granted to the 57th Fighter Wing and the 110th Fighter Squadron. Major Charles Du Bois, a World War II flying ace and former member of the famed Flying Tigers, became commander of the 110th Fighter Squadron. We didn't stay the 57th for long. In 1947, we became the 71st Fighter Squadron.
The start of the 1950s saw the addition of the medium bomber B-25 Mitchell, the trainer aircraft T-6 Texan, the light bomber B-26 Invader, military transport C-47 Skytrain, and the C-45 Expediter.
We were mobilized in 1951 for the Korean conflict for 21 months. We briefly became Texans once again as we moved to Bergstrom Air Force Base, Austin, Texas. There we became the 131st Fighter Escort Wing of Strategic Air Command.
Our time as Texans and an escort wing didn't last long. Later that year, we moved to George Air Force Base, California, and became the 131st Fighter Bomber Wing.
We sent a large number of personnel to overseas assignments. November 1952, demobilization was completed, and we found our way home to Lambert Field.
After the Korean War call-up, we received a new mission as the 131st Light Bombardment Wing. The wing entered the jet age in the late 50s with the acquisition of the T-33 T-Bird, F-80 Morningstar, and the F-84 Thunderstreak.
An aviation history of our wing would not be complete without mention of the wing mascot. The mule has long been a symbol of Missouri. Photos of Missouri mules affiliated with this wing appear as far back as 1925, though none are identified or have gained as much notoriety as the first official warm-blooded Banjo A. Burrow. Banjo A. Burrow entered service in 1959 and, like many young airmen, found it difficult to adjust to military life. Early in his career, he decided to go AWOL, breaking out of his billet at 0230 and wandering onto a nearby runway, creating quite a stir. Aside from this, he was a model airman, attending drills, summer camps, and representing the wing at parades and official functions. Several mules have served in this capacity throughout the years until the late 1990s.
In his first press conference in 7 weeks, the president begins the session with a bid to Russia to allow Berlin to decide its own future. It's his answer to new Khrushchev threats in East Germany.
As a Cold War deterrent, we were mobilized in 1961 to augment NATO forces during the Berlin crisis. We were assigned to Toulouse-Rosaire Air Force Base in France. Returning home in 1962, the F-100 Super Sabre became our primary aircraft and remained a major part of our unit for more than 17 years.
In 1977, Charles Lindbergh's widow, Anne Morrow Lindbergh, gave permission to designate the 110th Tactical Fighter Squadron as Lindbergh's own. In 1978, the unit began converting to the homegrown McDonnell Douglas F-4C Phantom and upgraded to the F-4E in 1985. The C-12 King Air, a twin turboprop passenger and cargo aircraft, also joined the 131st Fleet.
In September 1991, the 131st Fighter Wing converted from the F-4 to the McDonnell Douglas F-15AB Eagle. The conversion was completed and the wing was back up to full speed within 18 months. 1993 saw the arrival of the twin-engine turboprop C-26A Metroliner.
In fall 2004, we began transition from the F-15AB to the F-15CD model aircraft, becoming the first combat-coded F-15 unit in the Air National Guard to have C models.
In 2005, the Department of Defense Base Realignment and Closure recommendations became law, realigning our wing by moving our fighters to other locations.
In March 2006, the Department of Defense announced that our wing would become an A&G associate unit at Whiteman Air Force Base. While the Air Force has primary ownership over the aircraft, Missouri's Guardsmen will maintain and fly the V-2 Spirit stealth bombers alongside their active-duty counterparts.
In August 2008, the first two fighters left the wing, mission ready to assume their duties in Montana. It was the start of the end of an era at Lambert.
In October, the wing celebrated their first official unit training assembly at Whiteman Air Force Base with the ribbon cutting of the wing's new headquarters.
In 2009, the end of an era was complete and the wing turned over all F-15 Eagles to other Air National Guard units while continuing its transition to a B-2 Spirit stealth bomber wing at Whiteman Air Force Base. The year also saw an increase of operations at Jefferson Barracks Air National Guard Base in South St. Louis.
2010 saw the first of many accolades to come for the wing at Whiteman Air Force Base when the Total Force team of the 131st Bomb Wing and the U.S. Air Force's 509th Bomb Wing won the coveted Fairchild Trophy for the best bomb wing in the Air Force. The combined wings continue to be among the best of the best, meeting and exceeding expectations during inspections and competitions.
Then saw the first 131st Bomb Wing B-2 participation in support of Operation Odyssey Dawn in Libya.
The Air National Guard is supporting Operation Odyssey Dawn, the international response enforcing a no-fly zone over Libya. The Missouri Air National Guard's 131st Bomb Wing supported a 25-hour Air Force Global Strike Command mission. 3 Global Strike Command B-2 Spirit bombers dropped 45 precision munitions against hardened aircraft shelters in Libya. The bombers returned to Whiteman Air Force Base following the mission.
That same year, April winds brought a devastating Category EF4 tornado that cut a 22-mile swath of destruction across the St. Louis area and caused more than $10 million in damage to the Lambert Guard Base. Thankfully, no one on base was injured, but many buildings were damaged and plans were hastened for future moves off of Lambert property and to Jefferson Barracks.
Sidewinder, the rock element of the 571st Air National Guard Band of the Central States, was invited to perform at the White House for the first annual Joint Forces Initiative Luncheon.
In 2013, the 131st Bomb Wing successfully passed their initial nuclear shielding inspection and achieved full operational capability on August 2, 2013. To this day, the 131st is the only nuclear certified Air National Guard wing. In the same year, the B-2 Spirit of Missouri was designated the flagship of our wing.
2015 saw major operational exercises, including Red Flag, Neptune Falcon, and Constant Vigilance. The 157th Air Operations Group deployment in support of Exercise Pacific Century and the 239th Combat Communications Squadron's support to the Guard's CBRNE Enhanced Response Force Package exercise evaluation.
In September 2017, 140 service members joined forces in the southeastern Missouri region as part of the Operation Healthy Delta Innovative Readiness Training Exercise. Led by our 131st Medical Group, the Air National Guard, Navy, both active and reserve, and active duty Air Force members set up 2 field condition medical facilities to provide no-cost medical, dental, and ophthalmology support services on a first-come, first-served basis to residents of the local communities.
Members of the 131st and 509th Bomb Wings gathered in August 2018 to celebrate the unveiling of a new paint scheme on a gear door of the B-2 Spirit of Nebraska and the bomber's new designation as Lindbergh's own.
As we near our 100th anniversary on June 23, 2023, we continue to celebrate a proud history inherited from the airmen of World War I, II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, through the global war on terrorism to the present day. From braving the floodwaters of Missouri in aid of fellow citizens to operations overseas, we hold true to both our state and federal mission. We are your Missouri Minutemen. We bring people from diverse backgrounds together to defend freedom and protect communities, locally and globally. The 131st Bomb Wing's proud history was written by the men and women who have served before us, and our legacy continues to be shaped by the men and women who serve today.